Alright, what's good YouTube, it's Jay here. I've never actually done an opening like this before with all of these really cool cinematic shots of the product that I'm reviewing, so this is going to be a first for me, but hopefully the video turns out really well. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the SCUF Envision, SCUF's latest controller. Now, this came out a few months ago, so I'm a little bit behind on this, but I was able to pick one up from the CDL Boston Major. That just happened a couple of days ago. I was there on a trip to shoot some video and take some pictures for my team, which is Team War. And by the way, Team War does have a discount code with SCUF Gaming because we are partnered by them. So be sure to use code WAR on your next SCUF purchase. But enough about where I got the controller from. Let's actually start talking about the controller. The SCUF Envision is their latest model. It has a very interesting body type to it. It kind of reminds me of like an Xbox controller, kind of paired up with like a PlayStation controller in a way. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's like a nice little median. The controller feels really nice in your hands. It's got a really sleek design to it and it's very smooth. The one that I have right here is capable of being used either with a wire connection through USB-C or wirelessly through a USB like adapter thing that comes in the box. Now, this isn't my first time using a SCUF controller. I actually have a SCUF Reflex that was provided to me by my team. Shout out Kevin for giving me that absolutely stellar controller, which I do want to do a separate review on one day. The SCUF Reflex is actually a heavily modified PlayStation 5 controller with 4 paddles on the underside, a USB-C connection, and it has mouse hair triggers. The Envision actually does have a feature for mouse hair triggers, which I did not capture in this video because I totally missed it when I was going over the footage and just getting everything kind of set up, so that is my mistake. But the controller does have the option to actually turn on mouse hair triggers. That's just a little tip for anybody considering buying the Envision. Yes, you can turn the triggers into mouse hair triggers via 2 switches on the underside of both triggers. So let's talk about some of the features of this really cool controller. SCUF was able to maintain their typical sleek profile like they do with most of their controllers while also jam-packing a ton of features into this thing. So once you open the box, you're presented with a couple of different items: the controller itself and the USB receiver that you'll plug into your computer if you're trying to use it wirelessly. Similar to the Reflex, you are actually able to manually remap the buttons on this controller via a button on top of it. Once you start the mapping feature on this controller, you simply select a paddle and then press a button on top of the controller, and that paddle is automatically assigned to that particular button. The Envision comes with RGB lighting on the front of the controller, which is completely changeable through the ICUE software that we will discuss later in the video if you just want to add a more personal touch to the controller. Now, this does not come with a case, as most SCUFs do not, so you are going to have to buy that separately, of course. Once you get the controller set up, you'll notice that there are 5 buttons on the front of the controller. These are fully remappable buttons that you can use for muting things like Discord audio, or in my case, because I haven't figured that part out yet, I use them to basically give to my Windows desktop when I'm in Call of Duty, so I don't have to do it through my keyboard. I just press a button, I'm at my desktop again. The Envision also comes with a set of buttons on the left and right side of the controller, which is a totally new feel that I have yet to really fully test out, and I'm not sure what to really map to those buttons, to be honest. Since the majority of the controller-based games I play are Call of Duty and Halo in particular, I'm a little afraid of doing macros with those buttons, just in fear of potentially getting banned. I don't want the game to think I'm doing something sus or questionable, so I will kind of figure out at a later date what is and what isn't allowed with those 2 buttons on the side, but they do fit pretty nice into your hand overall, and I found it really complicated or hard to even press them by accident. In regards to the remappable buttons on the front of the controller, you can actually assign these buttons to different functions and functionalities through the ICUE software. With the ICUE software, you are able to basically remap the entire controller to your liking. It comes with a variety of different profiles. You can create more profiles for specific games. It honestly gives you a lot of options and can be a little complicated when you first get into it. I actually had to look up a little tutorial to make sure I understood what I was looking at when I was setting up the macros and the buttons for this particular controller, but once I kind of got the hang of it, it wasn't too bad. I've seen a lot of comments say that the software is very not user-friendly, and to be honest, I didn't really feel that way, but I'm also the type of guy that likes to look up guides and make sure I know what I'm doing before I just kind of hop into it. The software itself is pretty easy to set up, it's pretty easy to install, and it doesn't really require a whole lot of effort to get running, and it recognizes the controller right off the rip once you get it plugged in and started. Now, I have yet to actually test the wireless features of this controller, but I have been using it through a USB-C cable, and I just love this new era of us using nothing but USB-Cs for pretty much any device, be it a phone, a controller, a laptop charger. These types of cables personally for me have yet to go bad, and I don't feel as if the ports in my controllers, specifically the Envision and the Reflex, have gone bad like once. I haven't had these controllers for a very long time, so that could be subject to change in the future, but for the time being, the new ports on these controllers feel absolutely amazing. And obviously USB-Cs are just inherently a better port option for data transferring and a whole variety of other technical terms that I don't have a ton of knowledge on, but I'm sure what I said is probably sort of right. So my version of the Envision is the Envision Pro. You can find this on the SCUF website for $179.99, or you can go with the standard Envision model, which does not feature wireless compatibility, for only $129.99. For a controller like this with multiple remapping options, paddles, and so forth, honestly, these prices are kind of a steal. The standard Envision will still feature remappable paddles, mechanical switches, and a few other options. The only thing I did find a little strange with this controller, and maybe that's just because I'm so used to using the Reflex, was the lack of the PlayStation like button in the center of the controller that I usually use to check my scoreboard and stuff. At its heart, this really does feel more of like an Xbox PlayStation controller hybrid, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think the modular capabilities of this controller provides players with a large variety of options when it boils down to it. I will definitely be using it in some of my future videos and streams to kind of test out and see how it feels. So if you're interested in hearing my overall opinion over the next couple of months, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Go check out my Kick page, which will be provided in the description down below. And hey, like this video so more people can see it and maybe get into getting a brand new SCUF controller. But again, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new here, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more gaming content. And as always, this has been Jay the Gamer. I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a phenomenal day. Peace.